Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. I am Lorenzo Fon, sitting here with...
Kevin Horde.
How's it going, sir?
I just almost choked on my own snot.
Very, very good. That's one way to start the episode.
Good start to this one.
We will be talking about Star Wars Resistance today. Continuing on, we are headed towards the end here, very close. We are on Season 2, Episode 17 of Star Wars Resistance. This is an episode that aired on January 19th, 2020. This is Rebuilding the Resistance. We have director of Bosco Ing and written by Jennifer Corbett.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
So,
end of notes.
What's that?
I said that's all I have. End of notes. Yeah. See you next week.
Right. So I'll do my plot summary of this one really quick.
Sure.
And again, spoiler alerts if you have not seen Rebuilding the Resistance. Again, that's Season 2, Episode 17 of Star Wars Resistance. Mm-hmm. Okay, so as we left off last week, the Colossus is on the run again. But at the start of this episode, we get 4 X-Wing fighters showing up. They're coming out of hyperspace. They meet up with the Colossus. Kaz and Niku and Yeager are checking it out. Vanessa Doza pops out of one of the X-Wings, and again, that is Tora Doza's mother and the wife of Captain Doza. So they're parked up there for a second, and then what do we got? Should have reviewed this a little bit more. So there's a quick little reunion there, but then Norath actually shows up with Vanessa. So whatever happened outside of Batuu seems to have resolved itself.
I'm gonna talk about that later.
Okay. I was gonna make a comment, but we'll get back to that later. So Kaz does ask Norath what's going on, but Norath basically gives them that they're looking around the galaxy for anybody willing to fight against the First Order, but a lot of systems are
resistance, right?
Or sorry, fight against the First Order.
Right.
Is that what I said? I forgot what I said.
So,
at the same time, Doza also needs help trying to run the Colossus. So, there is a little mission that Captain Doza gets briefed about, and they're going to try and evacuate recruits from Dantooine, which has recently fallen under First Order control.
Yep.
So Captain Doza does kind of have a quick little change of heart where he's like, okay, we're tired of running. That didn't work, so we'll help you out. He agrees to spare 3 aces for the mission and needs the rest to hang out just for defense of the Colossus. Makes sense. Right outside of the office, as Doza is speaking with Vanessa, Kaz and Tora are caught listening in, and they both volunteer for the mission. Vanessa chooses Hype as the 3rd pilot, so we get our crew that all head to Dantooine. So we have the Jade Squadron. They head off to Dantooine. They do meet up with 3... what are they? Like
carrier ships.
Yeah, carrier vessels.
Right? Transports is what they call them.
Yeah, that's the word I was trying to think of. So they're helping these shuttles escape. Meanwhile, at the same time, this is when Commander Pyre, we get a few scenes with them. Pyre and Tyranny and Gaelic, and they're all there. So then they also figure out that Dantooine is the place to go. Long story short, basically, they show up. There is another battle outside of Dantooine. Another dogfight outside of Dantooine. Star Destroyer is there. Tam is there in her TIE fighter. She sees the aces. She's confused about what the aces are doing there. Just happy coincidence that the aces are there. There is another battle. We do lose one, or the Resistance loses one of the shuttle transports. But then also on the First Order side, Gaelic crashes and dies, or gets shot, dies.
Wah, wah, wah.
So basically, nobody really comes out fully ahead, but everybody's kind of either focusing on certain losses or focusing on certain wins, you know? So basically, we get back to the Colossus with our crew, and they are sort of saddened that they lost one of the transports, but, you know, is it Yeager comes up and is like, hey, you guys have to remember you guys did save 2. That's a win, right?
Yeah, he claims it as victory, while Kaz and Hype and Tora are kind of depressed at their failure to save everyone.
Right. So we got that, and Captain Doza thanks Vanessa and says that they can stay as long as they want, as they all need to now join the resistance and help out in whatever way they can.
Yep.
After seeing all this again. So with that, they all go to welcome the new passengers of the Colossus, I guess, is the way to put it.
Yeah, the members of the resistance that they were able to bring to the Colossus.
The survivors of the last dogfight. So they all go greet the newcomers and cue fanfare.
Well, okay, before fanfare, you skipped over one important detail here. After Gaelic dies, Tierney and Tam have another little pep talk discussion, and Tam is promoted to squadron leader.
Right, yes.
And Ruckland is pissed.
Yeah, Ruckland's mad because he is the one that shot down the transport.
Yes.
So, yep. So that does happen.
I'll bring that back up later. First of all, I want to jump straight into this episode title that we talked about a little bit last week. The rebuilding the resistance, right? Can I go into Rise of Skywalker territory here?
Yep.
Okay. So we've been told that this season is culminating with coinciding things with the Rise of Skywalker, right? Like it ties in is what we were told. So in the Rise of Skywalker, one Lando Calrissian is tasked essentially with broadcasting across the galaxy or reaching out to try to rebuild the resistance. I fully expected to see Lando in this episode. I did not expect this to be Kaz and Yeager and Doza agreeing to help Vanessa and her little band of merry men save some transports for some inconsequential people. I expected Lando to come to the frickin' Colossus and be like, look, bro, we need your fucking help. That is what I expected out of this episode.
You're more hopeful than I am that it's going to have any tie-ins at all. Because, again, I was set up and then disappointed last week with the name drop, the Batu name drop, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, when it comes to rebuilding the resistance,
I'm just going off of what we have been told by Disney themselves. And
I agree. No, I agree with you. For, again, a show called Resistance, just Resistance, I really thought we'd be in the thick of it. You know?
Hey, we're rebuilding it, man. Maybe we'll be in the thick of it next week.
But, nah, I agree with you. It's really weird that, I kind of forgot Vanessa existed as a character, you know? And Vanessa brings up, and even she's like, hey, I saw Tam on a Star Destroyer last time because I was captured, by the way. She seems like she's fine, but, confused about life.
She's conflicted is what she says.
Right.
And so you need to let her work that out. And she's talking to Yeager, and we just praised Yeager in the last episode about how Yeager was like, Kaz, look, she made her choice. She abandoned her family. She turned her back on us. We're going to have to do the same. And then immediately the next episode that's taken away, and Vanessa is like, hey, I saw Tam. She's conflicted, but she hasn't turned all the way. Give her time. And Yeager's like, okay.
Yeah, see, these are the half steps that I was complaining about last week, right? In the last episode of just, I would be so much more interested in all of this if Tam fully dedicated. Like, it's like we already have like a conflicted Kylo, right? Like we don't need more conflicted characters about being on the dark side, you know? Like,
I'd be cool with her being conflicted, but her like bibbing and bopping in and out of the season, especially this close to the end, makes it a little frustrating.
Well, like, I would feel better about it if, again, like, as we were talking about last week, if we had more time with Tam, and, like, let's say she did do something terrible, right? Something fucking awful. Make that the conflict point, right? Not the fact that, like, by coincidence, they keep running into Colossus things, so, like, everything Tam does happens to be her potentially killing people on the Colossus, right?
Or being reminded of the Colossus when they go to that other station that looks just like the Colossus.
Right. So, again, I feel like we're a broken record, or at least I am, but it's weird in this episode, again, to just kind of, like, be told again and again how conflicted Tam is, but not really, like, see it, not feel it.
Okay.
You know, like, we keep getting told about her conflict about attacking the Colossus, but
I feel like we did see it a little bit. Like when she's assistant to the assistant manager or whatever, right?
Yeah.
She's assistant to the district manager, and she's reluctant. She tries to pull her squadron back. She's like, no, we're taking too many losses. Like, we need to cut bait and get out of here. And I guess it's Gaelic that's like, no, continue to engage. Don't listen to her. And then that's when the transport gets blown up. And then that's when Gaelic dies. And then, so she's in charge, and Ruckland's all like, yo, what do you want us to do? And she's like, well, fucking head back to the ship. Like, let's do the thing that I already said. But I think there are some visual cues in here that do kind of build that confliction model a little bit, but we've seen it's so fleeting, like when these moments happen, there's a bunch of other shit that overshadows those things, that it's definitely not a thoroughfare of Tam's arc.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Okay.
If we can move on from Tam for a little bit, I want to talk about Vanessa and how she just kind of pops back into the episode. Like, why? So we had a whole episode about Doza being irresponsible and putting the Colossus in danger so that Tora and Vanessa and Emmanuel Doza could meet up together on Tora's birthday, right?
Right.
But then in this episode, I guess he's just like, yo, what's up, girl? Like, this is where we at.
Yeah, I agree. I was confused, too, as to how quickly they found each other again, you know? And how on the run Colossus is at this moment in time. Like,
they're just as on the run as they were before.
That's exactly what I'm saying, though.
You
like,
know?
because this whole season has been them on the run, but without any sort of constant threats, you know, on a week-to-week basis, per se. Like, it's always like a existential threat in the background, right?
Right.
Rather than an immediate threat. And again, this goes back to my conversation last week of, like, build, like, proper ways to build tension, right? And having a side quest of finding meat is not the way to build tension, right?
Yeah, I think a couple weeks ago you compared a lot of the plot lines of this show to like a Monster of the Week thing.
Yes, yeah.
And it's not necessarily a monster, but it's the
threat, like some sort of random threat
Right.
That's just contrived. Like, oh, it's pirates. Cool. Great. Like, I'm amazed they didn't bring Bebo back. They mentioned it, Bebo, but, like...
It's close enough.
But, yeah, so then the fact they're on the run and he talks about it again, but then, to your point, yeah, like, but Vanessa found them. So, like, who contacted who and how did she find them, Like...
I guess maybe Doza was... I don't know, because it's implied that, like, these Resistance Jade Squadron, like, came to the Colossus. I don't really remember what the reason was,
Right.
but it didn't feel like Doza reached out to Vanessa and was like, hey...
Was it Norath?
You wanna, like, hang out? Yeah, Norath has been fucking talking to Kaz this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads me to, like, the Norath Batu thing.
Right.
I don't think he was ever even anywhere near there. And even if he was, if we could erase the events of last episode and Kaz just leaves, is not spotted, there is no First Order that comes to Eos.
Mm-hmm.
Kaz goes and meets Norath. He'd be back this episode.
Basically, yes. Yeah, I know. Again, like, that's... If we had a little separation between Kaz and the Colossus, I would have been fine with that. Let Kaz figure shit out on his own. Or focus on the Colossus and let Kaz figure shit out on his own. Like, either way.
Right.
I just don't... yeah. I don't know what's going on. And also, like, if we're counting the two-parter as one single episode for being the second to last episode, we're introduced to a lot of other new characters as well. So, like, Norath I would count as slightly new because we've only seen him for 2 episodes,
right.
Same with Vanessa, we've only seen her for 1 episode. But then we get introduced to this other guy named Hugh.
So I think Hugh was in The Recruit. I think he was in season 1, episode 1/2.
He was one of the pilots or something.
He would have been one of the pilots when, like, we get that first shot of a Rolly droid, that's supposed to look like a planet or something, and then it pans back, and it's Kaz and the 2 other pilots. I think that Hugh was one of those pilots. And that's when Kaz is like, hey, get out of here, because the thing that Hugh says to Kaz is like, hey, I haven't seen you since you were facing off against that red tie. And that's what happens in that scene is we get these 3 X-Wings in, and then Major Von Reg comes in with his red tie, and Kaz is like, yo, I got this. You guys head back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll take the danger of this mission. You guys head out of here.
Anyways,
and they bounce out.
Right. My point is, like, these are characters I don't care about, And then there's another droid introduced named Torch. We've never met Torch before, have we? Or
I think so.
In the same episode of Vanessa?
Yeah. I thought it was cool that Bucket had a buddy.
But even then, Bucket has been so ill used that I don't even have an emotional connection to Bucket.
Yeah, I think he's been underutilized.
Like, we've seen more of Bucket in the last couple of episodes, I think, than we have, like, the entire season prior.
I feel like Bucket was supposed to be like the new Chopper.
Right. I love Chopper.
Or like the new BB-8.
Which
even though like
fine.
CB-23 is like the new BB-8. But yeah. I don't Bucket did not come off as an endearing of character as I think the intention was.
Not at all. No. Yeah,
So you, in your breakdown, we're going to start talking about Norath and Batu. What comments did you have there?
Is North coming? So you brought it up.
Is he coming from Batu?
Is he coming from Batu?
I don't think he was ever there. I think that was like the rendezvous point for something else. I think maybe he like bounced in, Kaz wasn't there, and like bounced back out to, I don't know, Jade Squadron or wherever the fuck he was going.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why they need to go to the Colossus to get help. It's all very confusing. It's as if it really is as if like Kaz's communication with Norath last episode didn't take place. Like,
right.
It's like none of that happened.
I agree, because like I'm not gonna lie, there were like moments where I kept kind of pausing and double checking that I didn't accidentally skip an episode or anything.
Yeah.
Even between the last episode and the episode prior, even though it starts with the Queen getting a tour of the Colossus, the progression of everything else in that last episode too, I honestly, for the first 5 minutes of that episode, thought I had skipped an episode. I had missed something in between.
Yeah.
And then here as well, I feel like I'm missing something in between. Like, I feel like I'm missing a battle over Batu, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's really weird that we're at this point where they're trying to do callbacks to the first episode. Like, hey, do you remember that? You know? It's a weird thing like a show that has been on for 10 seasons would do, you know? But we're only a season away, you know? Like, it hasn't been that long.
And I don't feel structurally that it's, I was going to say necessary, appropriate. It's not the right place being like the second to last episode of the series.
Right. Well, even then, like, look, other shows have had, like, sitcoms do this really well. Like, long-running sitcoms, when they, like it's a, like, when they do a clip show, you know? When they do a clip show episode for some weird reason, like budget cuts or whatever, right?
Yep.
But they always find, like, some interesting reason to, like, lock all the characters in a room and then just start reminiscing about random shit, right? But the show has not afforded itself that amount of time for this, right? You know, like, in both senses, like, the show hasn't been on long enough for us to form these, like, endearing connections and memories, or at least, like, for me.
And there's also not enough time before the end of the series to do it.
To allow for any sort of, like, reminiscing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because, like, even then, like, a show like Friends, I think, has multiple episodes where they do that, you know, because the show is on for 10 seasons, you know.
Dude, even Power Rangers did it, and you know, by now Power Rangers has been on for like 26 seasons or something like that.
Right.
I don't even know which one they're on, but there is a season of Power Rangers where the new Power Rangers have Tommy, the original White Ranger, and the original Green Ranger as like their teacher or something, and they find like a secret lab like underneath his house or something, and find out that he is the White Ranger. But they do that by looking at a computer screen and like seeing it's like a clip show.
So they go through the clips
of Tommy, the Green Ranger, the White Ranger, and beyond, for them to like understand who he actually is, and that's how they become like the new Rangers. It's super corny, but in the context of that season, it actually works pretty well.
Okay.
I like Power Rangers a lot.
I know. But yeah, man, like, it's here I got nothing. It's weird here.
Yeah.
Especially cuz like I'm like revealed, cuz I forgot he was in that first episode, even though he's telling a story from that first episode. Like, as I was watching the episode, I did think, I was like, oh right, like he had to have been in that dude in the first episode.
That's the only way that I made the connection. Like, I would not have known. You know, he's not named. He's on screen for like 12 seconds or less in season 1, episode 1. And I could totally be making an assumption. I didn't look into it because I didn't care. There wasn't enough there to make me even want to like nibble at that information. It's like, okay, that happened, we're moving on. I kind of felt like that with Vanessa for part of this episode, because she's she's kind of just a plot narrator for part of this and like plot catalyst.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then the way like we totally have that scene where it's like, okay, time to explain the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And they 100% do not stick to it. Like, the plan is no engagement, sneak in, sneak out. There is this blockade around the planet, so they hyperspace in, and there's some banter like in hyperspace, and one of, I think, maybe the most poignant lines that in this episode, only appropriate to like our current situation, right? Social situation. And that's when Norath, like, there's some Kaz backstory or shit going on. Hugh is talking about how Kaz almost got kicked out of the academy twice, and Kaz is like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. And Norath's like, oh, I don't mind. This is the most entertainment I've had in weeks. And that's the only thing that I can say about like rewatching this episode as far as like Star Wars entertainment in the past few weeks. This would be the most entertaining Star Wars entertainment I've had in the past few weeks.
Right.
That being said, I'll get back to my point about Vanessa. So, no engagement, right? Get to the planet, sneak in, sneak out, get past the blockade. They get out of hyperspace. No blockade to be seen.
Nope.
At best, there's, what, a dozen TIE fighters?
If that. Yeah.
If that.
Because I'm not going to lie.
Half a dozen TIE fighters, and that is a blockade of a planet. And immediately they just fly up and start fucking shooting at them. That is the only way that the First Order is alerted that something is going on Dantooine.
Right.
Because they're like, oh shit, our TIE fighters are blown up. That's why they head to Dantooine to interject with this secret mission from uncharted space. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, like when they get to the planet, by that point, even though the mission was explained, like the scene prior, I forgot about the blockade. I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot about the blockade.
That's because there is no blockade.
There is no blockade. There's no visualization of any sort of blockade whatsoever. We just see Dantooine. They get in there. It's not great, this little point here. But yeah. And then, of course, I'm not going to lie, like, my memory of this week's episode and the dogfight from last week's episode blend together. Because they are basically the same.
I feel like this one is even less dynamic than last week.
And I would agree with you. Yeah, I would definitely agree with you.
This one has, if I remember correctly, has a lot of so in Star Wars 1977 A New Hope, when that movie came out and we had like all these approach shots with like the slightly bobbing interior cockpit scenes of the X-Wings, and then you cut to some TIE fighters flipping knobs, and you see one ship or another like get locked on in the targeting computer.
Yeah.
Was new technology and amazing and worked well. It was awesome, and that drew you into the picture.
Yeah.
Here, it's like kind of gives me the feeling like we need some time in this episode. Let's do some classic visuals, but it's an animated show, so it doesn't come off quite as intriguing. And then we've got dialogue bits sprinkled in.
Yeah, I think there are two things to that point, because I again had already forgotten about the targeting system. I think they don't frame the targeting system quite as well as they do in the movies, especially the 77 original film.
Okay.
It's that, and it's the pacing, right? So like we get quick shots, like it's kind of jumping back and forth, like it's trying to like get that flavor, but it's using expired materials, shall we say? Like it's like trying to make blue ribbon chili with expired meat from a Walmart dumpster.
I don't even know what blue ribbon chili is, but
I don't know. I'm just making up something because it was the best I could think of at the moment.
Gotcha.
But it's trying to make like grandma's chili, but
Yeah, I couldn't tell
using
if it
the
was
99-cent tube of meat.
I couldn't tell if the intention was like to be nostalgic, or if the intention was to pass the time. It feels more, I don't know. I feel like I'm being hypercritical today. I would describe that section as boring. Like, we could have condensed some things.
Well, because like here's another consideration too. It's like, yes, okay, for a certain set of the audience, such as yourself and myself, the show can be nostalgic, and I don't mean that as a reaction. I mean that as a like the show could be allowed to have to trigger nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't knock it against the show,
Right.
For people in our generation, nostalgia has been perfectly monetized by Disney themselves, right? Like they figured it out, right? Like, hey, there's a Lion King remake because we know you saw Lion King as kids, but you're all adults in the workforce now, give us money.
We're buying Star Wars because...
Right, because we know you guys will spend the money on this shit. So, like, I wouldn't knock it against the show if it was trying to literally do that. But then there is this interesting thing, too, where, like, with Clone Wars, for a lot of people, for a lot of children, that was their entry point to Star Wars. But then I just feel bad if this is somebody's entry point to Star Wars and like this weird haphazard dogfight is what they get, Yeah,
I don't think this would be. I can't see this being anybody's entry point to Star Wars, just because it is so overshadowed by like other Star Wars things that are going on. Like it's a fine continuation of somebody that enjoys watching the animated portions of Star Wars, but I really can't see this being something that is like the first thing.
I don't know, man. Like you never know, because like
even my little baby kid, right? This is not going to be her first actual interaction with Star Wars.
Right. Again, I think with like a more passive parent though, like it potentially could be, one that like doesn't take their kid to the theater, doesn't like purchase the Star Wars Blu-rays or anything,
Even then, they're gonna have access to this on like Disney Plus,
right?
And
that's true.
That's the case, like everything else is already out there, even like Star Wars Galaxies of Adventures, like that's I feel like that's more likely.
Videos, yeah.
Or like the Lego Star Wars shows, Lego Freemakers and like stuff like that. Like I feel like that would even be more likely than this. Like this feels like what do you call it? A compendium, like, and what's
a companion piece?
Yeah, this is like a companion piece too, but not a starter point.
Right. Okay.
And I'm cool with it being a companion piece. I am not knocking this show. I'm not bumping it down at all in quality or quantity, but it just seems...
I'm not knocking it down as a companion piece. I'm knocking it down because it sucks as a companion piece.
Well, I'll leave that to you.
That's a show... a global show thing. That's not me revealing my cards on how I feel about this episode per se.
Let's I guess we should refocus back into that. The only other note that I had to talk about was Rucklin and how he's pissed at the end of the episode. Do you feel that's justified? Because I totally feel it's justified.
Look, his point, I understand that he takes out the thingy, so why doesn't he get the praise? I agree with that.
It's a little whiny.
Yes. Well, sort of, but I mean, they did have the episode earlier this season where Tam was penalized for not going all the way in that training thing, But Ruckland,
because she saved Ruckland instead
Right.
of letting him get zapped to complete the mission.
So like to this point, the show is thereby kind of like turning on its own logic, you know. So I understand where Ruckland's coming from to this point. I'm not gonna lie, I also don't care, just because Ruckland's been so one note otherwise as well. You know,
I thought Ruckland was gonna die. In this episode. I didn't see Gaelic. Like when Gaelic died, I was like, "Oh wow, didn't see that coming." I didn't really care, but I didn't see it coming. What I thought I saw coming was Ruckland dying, and then it was Gaelic, and then Ruckland survives, and then he's mad, and then I questioned myself. Could everybody hear the things that Tam was saying this entire time when she's like, Ruckland, no, don't do that?
I had that question too. Yeah.
Ooh, that might be a buddy. You know.
Because even the last episode, when Tam kind of says aloud, like that can't be Yeager, because nobody would fly like that. Like,
right.
That could only be Kaz. I was wondering if anybody else could hear her as well there. I think there is a moment in this episode too where she has her helmet off and she's saying shit out loud, and then she eventually puts it back on. Or is that last episode?
Well, so she gets shot down again.
Yeah.
In this episode.
Yeah, this is where I get confused, because like we have these 2 episodes with dogfights for the 3rd act of the episode.
But I think it's this one where she doesn't have her helmet on and she's talking.
Like specifically to Ruckland, I think, even. Because I think Ruckland's going on the attack for the thingy for that ship, and Tam was like, "No, don't do it." But then, that's
Transport
when
number 3.
Yep, but that's when Gaelic dies, and then that's when Tam is like, "Oh, right, that leaves me in charge." So she puts her helmet back on and is like, "Everybody, go back! Like, stop,
back." I done said we were supposed to do it, and Gaelic said no, and she dead. So listen to me.
Right. So that's why I had a question as well if people could hear her or not. I don't know. I have nothing on. I don't know what to tell you on any of this. They're making up the rules as they go. You know, whatever serves this show, episode by episode. You know,
there were some cool bits of Arbesh in here that are, you know, like it says target and alarm and.
So your basics.
System failure, warning. Yeah, it was like, you know, like basic warning lights and flashy buttons and stuff, but it was, you know, at times it was kind of prevalent, and I enjoyed that. That was cool. Yeah. Getting all the way to the end of this thing, I did feel something when Kaz and Hype and Tora were kind of sad and like placing blame on themselves for things they thought they could do better. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a good way of like showing some word that I can't think of right now, like the actual repercussions of their actions. Like, you guys are choosing to aid the resistance in this war, and your actions have consequences, right? And then you're coming in and saying, hey, yeah, we had losses, but this is a victory overall, is like a tough life and war lesson, you know? And then we cut over to the Dozas, and the Dozas are all googly-eyed for each other, and Captain Doza is like, I'm tired of running. We're going to join the resistance and be a part of this thing. So essentially I'm opening the Colossus up to be a mobile resistance base. Mm-hmm. Do you think we'll see any fallout from everyone else? I know that we have a whopping 1 double part episode left.
No,
is that going to be a plot complication, I guess? Is my question.
No, not. I think we'll see from the citizens of the Colossus. You know, it's gonna be something weird, like a quick, like, hey, we need to go to save all these people because of Lando.
We need to go to Batu.
Well, not Batu. They need to go to Exegol, right? They're like, hey, we're getting coordinates from this Lando dude. So do we go? And the Colossus will be like, yeah, sure. But yeah. So here's my like side of sort of related question to that.
Sure.
Do you feel like this episode has set the stage or actually set anything up that makes you kind of understand where we're going in the next episode?
No.
Okay. I agree with you. Like
this could be the 5th to last episode. This could be the 4th to last episode. This could be this could have taken place before what we saw last episode. This could have taken place before we got to the planet that they were supposed to take refuge on.
I agree. Yeah.
It is not solidly placed in a timeline, and it does not give me any information as to what is happening next. It is self-contained as a story that could slide around in the events of Star Wars Resistance.
Right. Like,
in my opinion.
In other shows, sometimes like that second to last episode can be almost as good, if not better sometimes than the final episode, because of the way it kind of like hypes you up, leads you into it.
Yep.
Because it's building all the way up towards that final episode. And here I just felt like we got another mission of the week.
Yeah.
We did. We got a mission of the week to go to Dantooine,
Yeah.
And this mission here just felt like there was no pertinence to anything else that's going on at the moment,
Yeah.
Like, just to me, just nothing. That's why, like, last week I was so pumped when they name dropped Batu, because at least then there is a bigger picture that it could have connected to there, and then it dropped that thread so hard, and it honestly killed me inside, and we've already discussed that last week, but again, so I'm just bringing it up because again here I don't see any connection to any larger picture whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree with you, and like I've been harping on, I think for a little bit, like the promise that this show is going to tie into the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And we're not there yet.
Yeah, nah, not at all. With one episode left, double length episode. Yeah, man. Should we just get into final judgments on this episode here?
Yeah. Yep. Sure.
Go for it, man. I'll let you start.
I give this one a thumbs down. And overall, I call this one misleading. One, starting with like the episode title and then kind of going through the events of the episode. Every time something happened, I was like, okay, that's fine. Not what I was expecting based on what I've seen prior to that.
Right.
So that's what I got for this.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to shit on anything. Not going to shit on anybody. I'm not going to tell people how they should have done their job or whatever.
Right.
As far as this being an episode that I would go back to rewatch, it would definitely be low on the scale. So we'll say that. What you got?
Okay. Yeah, I'm also a thumbs down on this one, and it is mainly because this episode and last week's episode were so similar that it just like confused me as to why they would be positioned the way they were.
Yeah.
And again, it's just this episode being positioned where it is and then dropping these other characters back in just automatically kind of pulled back on the characters I actually do care about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, as we're getting to the end, why are you infusing the show with new characters here? Like, I'm gonna refer to them as new characters. They essentially are, you know.
They're outside of the main core cast and the supporting cast.
Right. Like, why not have a mission with all the aces? Why not have a mission with Sonara in it even, you know?
Yeah, we didn't even see Sonara in this episode, did we?
No, not at all. Yeah.
So the last time, speaking of her, the last time we saw Sonara was saying goodbye to Kaz.
Yeah.
Is she coming back, or is she just, that was it? She said goodbye, and she was literally saying goodbye to all of us?
Look, my hope for the next episode is there is some sort of, as contrived as it may be, some sort of goodbye to all the citizens of the Colossus. Okay. Right? Like, that's, like, if there's some cheesy sort of, like, town hall meeting on whether or not they should go to Exegol, that's all I need, right?
Okay, do you think Exegol will be name dropped?
No.
Do you think a mission implying they're going to Exegol will be name dropped?
No. I don't think so. Based on, I will be surprised if they do. Based on where the show is right now.
Do you think Pyre and Tierney are making it out of this one alive?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Do you think Kaz is making it out of this one alive?
Yes.
I don't think our whole cast of good guys are all.
I think they're all safe. I literally think everybody's safe.
What about Tam and Rucklin?
I think they are both safe.
Okay.
I think on First Order side, everybody below line is safe.
Okay.
And I think everybody in Colossus side is safe.
So it's going to be a safe episode.
Yes.
Right.
It's the series is already safe, so I don't know. We'll come back next week, and I'll probably be so wrong about all of this. But I don't think Exegol will be mentioned. I don't think we'll get there at all. There's no way we're getting there. There's no way in 40 minutes that the Pyre, if Pyre and them get pulled away to Exegol, you know, if after all this buildup of Colossus versus Pyre's Star Destroyer is built up for them to then have to deal with this random bigger picture, you know, I don't know. This show is already such a slopping mess that I got nothing. I don't know. Like, that's the problem. Okay, back to it. That's the problem with this episode, right? There's no clear path of where the show is going or what it wants to do. You know, like,
this is like a Scooby-Doo episode where you get everybody in the mystery machine.
Yeah.
For some reason, they're going somewhere. Things happen. They figure something out at the end.
Yeah, and then they all move on with life, hop back in the mystery machine, and off to the next haunted mansion. Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing, man. I don't know. So, yeah, my thumb is down on this one, and it's not an awful episode. I just don't care. I just honestly don't care. I'm so defeated.
I would call it uneventful, but I mean, like, things happen, but it's me.
Right.
You know?
Like,
it just kind of is what it is. It exists. You can watch it. You can move on.
Yeah. It's just there. That's all it is. It's just there.
Yeah.
Like, I got nothing. I have no enthusiasm for this episode.
Unenthusiastic. You know? That's
yeah, unenthusiastic would probably be where I'm at. That'd be my one-word review, probably.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just so down.
Yeah, I feel like a Debbie Downer this week, and I'm really not intending to be.
Yeah. It's bad because like I get it just.
I'm kind of speechless. I don't really have anything else to add. You know, I had
mean,
a couple more questions in my notes, like why hype Faison? You know, why did Vanessa choose him? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. She's like, ooh, I know the perfect person. I thought she was gonna go for either Bo Keevil or Freya, because like those are two pilots that we haven't got in like a solo mission with the main crew. I guess Freya we kind of did. But like,
yeah,
you know, Bo Keevil is voiced by Dave Filoni, so it's like, hey, fucking throw him some screen time.
right.
But it's just like,
again, it's all these like random choices that just.
I'm literally sitting here like waving my arms in the air because I don't even. This is how I'm trying to express words, and it's not working.
Yeah, it's just like it's confused motivation and just I don't know. Again, it's not leading me to care. None of us is leading me to care. And again, it's like we're all trapped inside our own homes right now too. So like, if anything, I should be a lot easier on this because I'm just like starving for entertainment, you know. But instead, I'm just sad. I'm just so sad right now.
And this is the most entertainment I've had in 2 weeks.
That's like the show makes me sad. Your statement that you just said makes me sad. All
no, that was Norath Kev, man. That's
all sad, man.
That was his character saying that. I'm gonna escape from this episode by talking about next week's episode, and that is The Escape, Part 1 and Part 2. Mm-hmm. The season finale and the series finale was released as a 2-part, somewhere around 45-minute episode that we will be covering next week. That will comprise Star Wars Resistance episodes 39 and 40 to wrap this whole thing out. We threw out some predictions earlier. You'll have to come back and see how correct Lorenzo was on who lives, who dies, whether or not we talk about Exegol and beyond. So,
look, I'll be happy if they go to Batu in the next episode. Honestly, if there's any sort of linking to anything, I'll be happy. Hopefully, we'll see.
You can link on over to our website at notthenerds.com.
Yes, all of our stuff is there. So all past episodes on YouTube. All the audio goes up to YouTube. So those playlists are there. All of our social media links are there. If you want to contact us, but just give us a like and subscribe on anywhere you're getting this. So whether that be through Apple Podcasts or YouTube, or drop us a comment on Facebook or Twitter. We always like reading all of that, But as always, we like to give proper shout outs to Kevin at They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter for putting together the hero artwork at the beginning and end. We also Anthony is the gentleman who put together the website for us. And he's Blue the Beard, right?
At Blue the Beard, yep, on Twitter.
And then Lindsay, Strange Fantasy Music at gmail.com. She put together the jingle that you hear at the beginning and end of every episode. So as always, we like to give credit to those 3 fine folks who help put together all that stuff for us.
Absolutely.
But yeah, until we get to this final episode next week of Star Wars Resistance, I've been Lorenzo.
I've been Kevin.
These aren't the nerds you're looking for.
Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.